Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Between a Pot and a Hard Place. I'm Stephen Colton.
And I'm Chris Kirkpatrick.
And this is not Starscream. Oh, wow, I messed it up. All the Transformers fans are going to unsubscribe.
Oh,
Soundwave.
all three of them.
Yeah, all three of them.
That's a very small sound wave.
Yeah, I found these at Walmart, and I was like, this is pretty cool. And it even has a little tape thing that comes out. And, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Does it turn into a vulture?
He turns into his little guy here, if I can remember how to do it real quick. It is small. It's like the 80s style design. His head is hard to come out. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
And, I will tell you, growing up, my brother and I were huge Transformer fans. And, when we were kids, Transformers, if you didn't follow the directions on the box, you are not going to make that thing transform the right way the first time. And I really miss that. Modern Transformers, the way you see them, it's literally like pop the head up, pull out the legs and the arms, and it's over. And I kind of enjoyed the challenge and the intricacy of the old toys. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm getting a little bit nostalgic.
You can dance.
There we go.
This was like I wasn't really alive so much for these. This is like the first generation, like 80s, and I was probably alive when they were popular, but I was a little baby. I was Corey. See, yeah, so that is a legit sound wave, and it is, but it's a small scale one, and they have like a series of these. And right now, like for some reason, they're doing all of the Beast War toys from back in like the 90s, I think it is. And they're doing a lot of those now. Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Hey, welcome.
I want one of the original. Maybe this had to be original. They had a re-release of the full-scale, regular-sized of the Soundwave. I would love to get my hands on a Megatron from the 80s, but I don't think they're ever going to reproduce that one because, as Transformers fans know, he was a gun. And so guns are so no-no that I want to go to Walmart and buy one of the little air pistols that shoots BBs. You can't find them anymore because they look too realistic, I think. You can get the Red Ryder Christmas Story, the little Red Ryder rifle.
Right.
And I just watched that movie yesterday, actually.
I mean, I feel like it's a requirement for the holidays to go and watch it. I watched that movie, and as Corey, I'm sure will post about here, we had a lot of BB guns, pellet guns, bows and arrows. I mean, I feel like we were little vigilantes in the making.
Yeah.
So I watched that movie and I go, wow, I really was Ralphie.
Yeah, I'm really into the movie in a different way now. My brother passed away in 2018, and that was one of his all-time favorite movies. And so I told my mom, I was like, I got to get a copy of this movie. And I couldn't find it. Of course, it was around Christmas time. This was a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, I can't find this movie anywhere. She's like, I'll order it for you. And so that was, I guess, officially one of my Christmas gifts is that movie.
Oh, cool.
But as soon as she ordered it and had it at her house, I started seeing them available here. I was like, of course. Now I can't buy it because she already bought it. And I don't know. But I finally got it, and I watched it yesterday. And it's so great. I mean, you realize now watching it how cheesy and low budget it was.
Right.
But growing up, I thought that was a huge movie. And it really wasn't. It was such a small budget film. And when you watch it, you're like, huh. And even watching it, I was like, I'm not making fun of it as I watch it. But there were a couple of spots where I'm like, why didn't they do this or that? The tongue stuck to the light pole.
Right.
I never figured out, why didn't you just pour water on his tongue? Why did you get the fire department and the police and all of this stuff? And why was everybody so ashamed to say, like, well, we dared him to do it? It's like he did it on his own. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good movie.
No, I really enjoy it. It's a classic for a reason. I was trying to think about when it was made. I went and checked it. It was produced in 1983. So I was only 4 years old when it came out. But yeah, I think some of it, for me, I think it's very relatable, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can still relate to it as well. I mean, it came out 3 years before I was born, but I still could relate to it. I may not have been obsessed with the BB gun, but there are definitely several things that I am still obsessed with that I want to buy that I'm just like, I'm not buying that. It's too expensive. Someone else buy it for me.
Yeah, or wanting something you can't have, right? I get that. You know,
people too, like that
right?
You can't have. Scarlett Johansson still has not come to my house. So maybe next Christmas I'll go see the Santa Claus and he'll say, "Well, you'll shoot your eye out."
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
it'll have a much different meaning with that situation. But anyway, yeah, it's been a fun, I guess, a Christmas. Did you have a good Christmas?
I did. It was really good. My dad's been in poor health this last year, and so we were really not sure whether he was going to be able to make the trip with my mom from their place to ours where we had Christmas. And he had said he felt the best he's felt in months.
That's awesome.
And so they were able to make it. They stayed for 3 or 4 hours, which was, 3 hours longer than I thought they were going to. And it was great. My uncle showed up and joined us. And, we're not a huge family, but we're pretty tight.
Yeah.
So it was just really nice to be able to be together, have some great food and relax. So yeah, it was great.
I had, I saw my mom a few days ahead of Christmas just to kind of get out there and get back and everything. And then on Christmas Eve, my grandmother calls me that lives here. And she's like, "Oh, come to my house. Come see me tomorrow. Come see me tomorrow." I'm like, "I can try. I'll try to make it." But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm not doing anything tomorrow. I'm going to stay home. And she's like 82 or 81, 82 years old. And I'm like, I don't know if this might be the last Christmas that she'll have. And so I was like, I kind of have to go. And I think back to my dad. There's several things. He's like, "Oh, do this with me," or "Let's get it. We'll do it some other time." Never happened. And so I don't want to have those regrets with anybody else. So I have the opportunity, I'm going to do it. And it was fun. She actually gave me a little table lamp, and I'm like, all right, fine. But it's actually useful. It's bright, though. I turned it on the first time last night, and it just blinded me.
So I ended up getting one of those halo lamps.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a lamp that's kind of shaped like a circle.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit more shiny here tonight. So I got a lamp too for Christmas.
I need to get a light, like I've seen so many like podcasting kits that have these little lights and things. I need to get something to put on my computer because the light of the screen is a decent amount, but then I have this glowing, like this lamp back here is not as bright as it seems on camera. It's like the glowing, it almost looks like a yellow lantern,
right?
Like glowing, and I'm like, it's not that bright, but. So, see, Corey, okay, here he is with the comments. I have the BB gun, rapier, katana, bow, all in the corner of my room right now. Now, if you're invaded by ninjas, then you'll have a defense, at least.
Right. I think Corey's preparing to become Hawkeye or something.
Oh, look. You're lit up.
Yay. Yay.
I'm not lit up. So, I am, but yeah, I think Corey will be the next Hawkeye.
I would love to see that.
So we got a lot to talk about today. I mean, we're gonna focus on Hawkeye, but we have several. I know last time I was like, "Oh, we didn't have that many group posts." I think maybe somebody listened because we've got several, and I didn't pick all of them. I just took a bunch of them. But before we get into all that, we're gonna go ahead and throw up our social media platforms and say, follow us on all of this.
Yeah.
A lot of you right now are on facebook.com/Between a Pod and a Hard Place. And the one I still haven't updated, facebook.com/groups/Between a Pod and a Hard Place. And then you can follow us on Twitter as well at Pod and Hard Place, and follow Mark Guggenheim at M Guggenheim, and myself. If you feel like it, I don't have enough followers, but I don't really pay attention to Twitter personally. My personal Twitter, I forget I have it, but it's at Steven_Colton. And you can follow Chris at CJ_Kirk1979, and check us out on YouTube, which some of you probably already are right now, at, Between a Pod and a Hard Place. And subscribe. And if you're subscribed to other cooler YouTube pages, just unsubscribe to them and subscribe to us instead.
I don't know. I think you can subscribe to as many people as you want to. Just make sure that you're subscribed to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Turn off all the notifications for the other YouTube channels, and
right.
only notifications from us, so that you will see our notifications all the time. Yeah. So we've got a ton of this stuff going on.
We do.
So we'll go ahead and go straight to the Facebook posts, and because I'm sure there's going to be other topics that we bring up out of nowhere. And
I'm sure we will
touch on some things. A lot of this is Spider-Man related, some of it, not all of it. Finally, we have the moment. And now, watching No Way Home for the first time, I was wanting this meme to happen, as everybody else was. And I didn't realize that, on the bottom, on the right-hand side of the picture, the bottom image is more accurate to the meme than the top image. And the top image is what I really noticed myself in the movie, was in the lab. And they're pointing at each other and like, oh, that's funny. But then the image on the bottom looks way more accurate to the actual meme itself. And I just thought that was hilarious that we got that moment twice in the movie.
I think that it was amazing that they kept it actually pretty subtle.
Yeah.
Because that picture was so classic. I mean, I feel like they could have really sat on it for a little while and milked it for all it was worth, but they really kept it subtle. I had to go and watch the movie twice before I noticed both of them. So
the same here. Like cool. The first time I saw it, I only noticed the lab, and then the second time I was like, oh, they are kind of pointing like Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3, and all the Peter Tingle, like, yeah, we have the Tingle, we have the Tingle. And that part is funny to me because they've never heard it phrased as Peter Tingle.
Right.
But yet they instantly knew what he was talking about. And I thought that was amazing. And before we go further, I don't have a graphic to show, but I just read earlier today that, I think that might be why I don't have a graphic ready. It just happened today, I guess, that Sony and Marvel confirmed a long-term deal with Spider-Man. So there's no details on what that means. And now we heard rumors that, or official statements, but like, oh, we have plans for other Spider-Man. Right. That was a general statement. They've actually straight up said, yes, we can confirm that we have a long-term deal to do Spider-Man.
And that's just smart. Sony partnering with Marvel, I think it's going to be more business for them too. So,
and there's an ongoing theory now too that Venom, Tom Hardy's Venom, is in the Andrew Garfield world, and that's the Venom from his universe. That's a good theory because I never really thought about it. I was that could be the case.
Well, Andrew Garfield's the only one who did not get his own trilogy, right? And so I know that there's a lot of people out there who are really trying to give Andrew Garfield his trilogy. And considering how well he did in this last movie, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of energy in that department.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see what happens.
And if that theory is true of Tom Hardy's Venom being in the Andrew Garfield universe, because people always said, Venom is not tied in with the MCU originally when Venom came out. Right. Because there's no mention of Spider-Man, the events in New York, from all the Avengers movies, Infinity War, Endgame, none of that is referenced ever in Venom. Even the blip never happened. So we know that wasn't the case. But with Andrew Garfield, he comes in No Way Home and says, I kind of went into a dark place, and I've been in a dark place for a long time now. So maybe while he's off, like, brooding like Batman, like, I'm Spider-Man, Venom was happening. And so he just didn't pay attention because he didn't notice. He didn't care anymore, maybe. It's going to be great to see. And, okay, so, yeah, Corey says, I hear Spider-Man 4 and third Garfield movies have been confirmed. I haven't seen an official statement, but I've read tons and tons of rumors. And I've read rumors that Tobey Maguire is going to be in Doctor Strange 2, which I guess comes out in March or so. March, or it's somewhere between March and May is when that movie comes out.
I think we're going to get our fill of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire at this point.
The Tobey Maguire in Doctor Strange makes a lot of sense to me because, number one, they interacted in No Way Home. And Sam Raimi is directing Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, how do you have Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man in one movie and then the following year have his dad basically being Sam Raimi's movie dad, I guess. I don't know why I called him his dad because he's been in movies way before he met Sam Raimi. But that also leaves the door open for Bruce Campbell to come in.
Of course.
In Doctor Strange.
Well, and I think that I really feel like considering Tobey Maguire's age, you know, he should be in the
63.
next. Yeah, he should be in the next Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Old Folks Home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spider-Man can't find his home.
Right. Right.
Yes, Bruce Campbell. I mean, they really need to do that.
I
miss Bruce Campbell.
We need to make that happen on Twitter. They just need to start that trending.
Just hashtag Bruce Campbell. Yeah, and this was a good one. I saw this Andrew Garfield clip, the interview he did. He's like, and it's a Photoshop, talking about the leaked image of, it was actually that bottom image, or in that same scene. It was in one of those images. And he says, like, that's Photoshop. That's Photoshop.
Right.
Really? I mean, come on. He's a good liar, I got to say.
Oh, he is. I think that he is a professional actor. You know, he should be able to pull that off. That said, can you imagine how hard it must have been for all of them that have been involved in the movie to not go and say they were even involved?
Yeah, why would they be honest about it? Like, oh yeah, we're in it. Sure. Like, oh, no knocking the age. You're gonna get in trouble.
I didn't like call out my wife's age. That would have really got me in trouble.
She's much younger than Tobey Maguire.
Yes. And
Tobey
prettier.
Maguire, yeah.
I will say she is far prettier than Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't say that, there would be a lot of questions.
I know. I would be sleeping on the couch tonight.
In another related to Spider-Man.
Hey, that was a good post.
Yeah, somebody really awesome posted that.
I know. Somebody amazing.
The one who returned to the crossover for the fans, the one who loves the character, was underappreciated but redeemed himself, and the one who has the potential to become the best version if given the perfect script. I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
I kind of wish there was a fourth one so we could have the CW Superman in there, but I mean, it's pretty accurate, especially with the Tom Welling and Tobey Maguire. And looking at that part of it, I'm like, okay, I really want to see something with Tom Welling and Tobey Maguire together.
Right.
I know we're not going to get a Superman and Spider-Man crossover, but
no. But the idea that I think both of them are really iconic characters that people love. Mm-hmm. I thought it was relatable, and both franchises are played by multiple actors. I think you could do probably something similar with Batman.
Oh yeah, and well, they did say, Batman. Michael Keaton is confirmed for Batgirl coming whenever that comes out, like 20 years from now.
I don't know. I can see him as Batman, but I don't know how convincing Michael Keaton would be as Batgirl.
Well, maybe not. Maybe he'll play her uncle. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I think that it's amazing.
Same one.
It's amazing though how long ago it was when Michael Keaton was Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And now it seems like they just can't get enough of him.
It's like 1989 was the first time that was the first real Batman. I mean, yeah, we had, you had several others before him.
You had Adam West.
Adam West was like iconic.
Right.
But Michael Keaton was the first real serious live action Batman. I mean, I watched it again maybe a year ago and I could not believe it. I was like, wow. I forgot how good this movie was.
Oh, yeah.
Can't say the same. Well, Batman Returns I liked Batman Returns. But Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, I mean, Bat Nipples, that's all we got to say.
The last two, not my favorites. I thought that they had a decent Riddler.
Jim Carrey was really good.
Jim Carrey was Jim Carrey. I think that was good. And, I thought it was great. But, yeah, definitely the first two are hard to top.
And Michael Keaton's in Morbius. That looks good. How funny is it? Yeah, Michael Keaton, Bat Nipples. But yeah, Keaton and Morbius. Like, it's funny to me that Morbius is played by Jared Leto, who was a Joker, and then Michael Keaton's going to be in that. So you got Batman and Joker. Like, that's pretty cool in a Marvel property. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting when they have characters cross over. Did Corey post Bat Nipples multiple times, or you just
I'm just clicking it on.
Okay.
Yeah, because
you just like Bat Nipples.
Yeah, I mean it was. But the funny thing is, Batgirl didn't have bat nipples, but Batman and Robin did. I mean, obviously we know why, but I mean, still, it's like you got to be equal with the nipples, or don't have them at all. If you don't bring enough nipples for everybody, leave them at home.
I mean, he could have been lactating. That's my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how bats. Yeah. Anyway, that
was a segue.
Another really great post.
Fantastic post.
Excited for season 2 of Superman and Lois. I know I am, and we're just. I mean, I'll go ahead and say it. We talked to them a few times. I guess our friends at Great Geeks Debate. I could not get that out. We're going to be talking to them at some point in the future about Superman and Lois season 2.
I think we're kind of set to talk with them next week.
I think so.
Yeah.
I was hoping we could get. I just go ahead and say it because I don't think it's going to happen. I was hoping we can get Jordan Elsass in, but honestly, I don't think he'd be available right now because I know they're still filming. I think, and even then, he probably wouldn't be able to talk before the finale airs. The premiere, even maybe before the finale too. And we still have Flash showrunner Eric Wallace coming on, but it's going to be sometime in January at least. He got really busy at the end of the year, and they had to push it up to January. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about the show again.
I am too. Season 1 of Superman and Lois was as good a first season as just about anything out there. And I had pretty high expectations going into it, but the show totally blew those out of water. I think that Bitsy Tulloch as Lois Lane,
great.
She rivals that of Margot Kidder. And I don't say that to take anything away from Margot, who I thought was fantastic as Lois. Bitsy is just that good.
And she kind of looks like her too, honestly. And I just had to throw that poster up again because I think it's so great. I mean, it's simple, but it's great. And I love the tagline at the top, small town, big secrets. It makes you wonder what they're going to feature in this new season. Because what big secrets can you be talking about?
Right.
I'm excited.
I know that Tyler, his Superman had been introduced on Supergirl.
Mm-hmm.
Both he and Bitsy had been introduced in Supergirl, but I do feel like having his own show allowed him to shine. I really feel like we've gotten to know him a lot better, and I think appreciate his version of Superman because they have their own show.
And definitely. When I first saw him on Supergirl, I'm like, he's so nerdy and tiny. Oh my God, no. It's a little kid from Seventh Heaven. But then when he got his own show, I was like, okay, this is awesome. I don't think he's nerdy and dumb anymore. Although Hawkeye still kind of is. No, we'll get into the Hawkeye stuff later. But going on to the next little meme. This one was hilarious. I got to say.
Oh, I love that.
Kay, who I didn't realize at first, but Kay is actually in the UK.
Yeah.
We could start calling her UK. Is that too much? I don't know. That's cheesy. But this is hilarious. She posted this a couple of days ago, and it's for those of you that don't know, the little devices he's pulling out of that box are condoms. This is like a health class mixed with comic books.
For the record, that's not the proper usage of a condom.
And if you're using them that way, then
you're awesome. You're totally awesome.
You're awesome, but you'll also probably have tons of little kids running around in a couple of years.
Right.
But I thought it was hilarious how accurate it looked to the actual image of the movie. I mean, makes you wonder, like in the writer's room, if they're like, it would look like this. And then that guy is a writer from Shang-Chi, and he was like, oh, this is how you do it. And then it just looks amazing. And part of me wanted to go out and get the supplies to do this. And actually right now I don't have them. But that's amazing.
It's too bad that you don't have any for a practical demonstration, Stephen.
Yeah.
I'm here to protect you.
Yeah. Well, that is a protection. I mean, real world applications.
Right. Trojan Man.
Yeah. Trojan. Yeah. Alfred and Penguin from the Batman 2022, and then from Batman Earth 1 comic. And that's actually pretty scary accurate. I mean, it's got to be what they were going for. the look and design of those characters.
What's crazy, isn't that Colin Farrell?
I don't know.
The guy who's playing the new 2022 Penguin.
Is it? I don't know. Honestly, I probably should have looked into that and see who the cast was.
Let me go ahead and Google it.
It's probably the other guy from Twilight. And then but yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the Batman.
And what pops up? Colin Farrell to reprise Penguin role in Batman spinoff.
That's who that is. It doesn't look like anything. I mean, wow. That's crazy though. It doesn't really look like him to me.
No.
But, I mean, hey, that's cool.
Yeah, the guy can act.
Definitely. I mean, I was gonna think that was Topher Grace, maybe. Just a lot of makeup.
Right. And maybe he turns into them when he's halfway through it.
That would be amazing.
Right. Because we know how much you love Topher Grace.
I wanted to throw this up there because I think these were really cool. Those are such, oh my gosh, they're so cool. I don't know. I was looking at those 3 pictures and I was like, which one is my favorite? I don't know. They're all great.
Yeah, definitely the Wolverine one is pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome, yeah.
Though my favorite of the 3 has to be the Captain Marvel. Well, not Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Oh, what's her name? I already forgot her name.
Captain Carter.
Carter, yeah. I was like, it's so easy, but why can't I think of it?
Well, and I'm kind of partial to it because
oh, there it is.
I own the original. It's actually mine.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. My daughter actually makes these. My daughter Amber. And what's really amazing about it is that it's she first paints the background on a piece of paper, but the figure itself is painted directly on the glass.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's the crazy part of the whole thing is that it's painted directly on the glass freehand. So she's not tracing this or anything.
That's
so
amazing.
This was one of the gifts that we got here. Every member of our family ended up getting their own picture. My wife is a huge Scooby-Doo fan, and so she got the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine.
I gotta say, like, my favorite probably is the Captain Carter. Just I don't know what it is about it, but the whole scene put together is like awesome.
Yeah, I think the background with that smoky haze. Yeah. It just really pops.
To hear that it's like freehand painted and not actually like traced over, outlined, and then that's pretty awesome. It's more impressive. And the Scooby-Doo one, I don't want to say I'm more impressed with it, but it's the detail in that one. There's so much more detail with the individual characters, the Mystery Machine itself, everything else involved in that. Like that one's pretty, and it's pretty accurate to like, it's not like far off at all. I mean, I looked at that. I was like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, she used pictures for reference, but she didn't trace them. They were, again, done freehand. And Corey loves Wolverine. So that is his picture there on the bottom.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's what's cool about Christmas when you got family members who are talented.
I used to make my mom's, never painted anything like that, but I would make her, these images on a computer and print them off. And like lately, I have the printer again, but I don't have the same software anymore to create everything. I used to have, it still exists. She has it, but it's an image of like right after my brother passed away a few years ago. I had a picture of him when he was a baby, and then a picture of him like at his oldest, I guess you could say. Like it wasn't like a very recent picture, but it was like a few years before he passed away. And I wrote like a little thing in it. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but I think it was although I may be gone from this world, but I will be forever in your heart. Something like that. I came up with it off the top of my head, typed it out, put it in there, and she really loved that. And it was like I loved making stuff like that. Of course, my artistic ability isn't from drawing or painting necessarily. I can doodle something, and if I look at a reference, I can draw, but it takes me forever to do it. But I'm more like digital art, where I can, create an image and line things up and make something like that.
Yeah.
I wish I could do it again because I felt bad over the last couple of years. I haven't made anything for her, mostly because, color ink is super expensive, and photo paper is the best for printing things like that on. Because when you print it on, like a cardstock would be okay to use, but regular copy paper, it's just so saturated when it prints off in full color, and then the colors dim and print more than what's on screen. So it's a challenge to get those right, tones and everything. But I want to get back into making some of that stuff. I just got to get a better computer. Like people that can draw with pancake batter. I mean, I've never tried that. I used to draw with ketchup on my plate when I was a kid. Take the French fry and like dip it in and like draw pictures.
Were you the kid that your mom said, "Don't play with your food, Stephen"?
I was Ralphie. Not Ralphie, but his brother. What's his name?
Oh God.
I just watched that movie less than 24 hours ago.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
And there are always scenes where you're like, you forget, like the mom's trying to get him to eat his food, and she's like, "Who's the little piggy?" And he's like literally rooting into his plate right there at the table. Like, oh my God.
My mom never asked me if I was a piggy, and I never refused to eat, but that's just how I ate, especially with spaghetti when I was a kid. It was puschetti and not spaghetti. And I would only eat the canned spaghetti that you get, like whatever the brand was. When I grew up, it was Franco-American, but now I think it's Campbell's. It's all the same. It would have to be dumped onto a plate for me to eat spaghetti. I would not eat homemade spaghetti. And so I would grab it with hands and just smash it all over my face and eat it. Oh yeah. So that character reminds me a lot of myself when I was around that age.
Yeah, I remember teaching my girls to eat spaghetti when they were little, and you generally get more spaghetti on the walls than you ever get in their mouths. So
yeah, I couldn't grasp the idea of like twirling the fork. I would stick the fork on the plate and spin it, but I wouldn't understand that you have to kind of weave it into the fork first and then twist. I would just spin the fork, nothing happened, so I threw the fork down and just fistfuls. But yeah, I don't know what that kid's name is now. It was Ralphie and Billy. No, I don't know. Did he have a name?
I don't know, because what's weird is that the parents don't have names. They're just mother and father.
Yeah, they don't even address each other, and when they're cursing in the movie, it's always but he didn't say fudge.
Fudge.
Meme coming soon for that. Yeah, moving on here.
Right.
Regrets. Those were the droids you were looking for. I think everybody's been there. Being tricked.
I know. I like the ones where it's like the tattoo, and it says regrets.
Yeah, regrets.
Yeah.
And then now people get that like ironically, and you don't even know if they like know they are doing it on purpose, or if you see regrets on somebody, you don't know, did you do that on purpose, or is that like?
It's a good excuse if they didn't spell it properly and they just don't want to look stupid.
Yeah, I mean you can always spin it like, oh,
they're like, no regrets.
Oh yes, thank you. His name is Randy.
Randy. I knew my wife would be good for that trivia. And we watched it again last night, so.
I'm glad you didn't end that sentence with something.
With something?
Yeah, because you were like, my wife would be good for, and I'm like, don't say something. She would be good for something. That was just
she's good for a lot of somethings.
Yeah. Especially naming characters that I never can remember.
Right.
I'm bad with character names anyway. I'm like, what's that one guy's name? Spider-Man. And talking about The Matrix Resurrections, which I didn't realize at first, but this is currently streaming on HBO Max and in theaters. And I still have not seen it.
You have not seen it?
Not the new one. I need to go back and watch. I have the trilogy on Blu-ray, and I need to watch those. Because I've seen them, but it's been so many years. It's been like 52 years since I've seen The Matrix.
So I will wait until you get a chance to go see it. And you know what? I made one of the quintessential mistakes in that I listened to a lot of reviews and a lot of people posting negative stuff about it. And so when I went to go watch it, I kind of brought that into it. And, you know, typically I don't let people sway my opinions, but I had already kind of made up my mind that it was going to absolutely blow chunks. And you know what? It was really, really okay.
Yeah, what I have heard, I haven't heard any spoilers as far as detailed, but I did hear like it's more self-aware and kind of not funny necessarily, but it's I guess less serious than the first original film. I don't know how to really phrase that, but it seems like it's more, I guess, because like they know, like I know the premise is like, okay, this is a sequel. This is years and years later. They know the Matrix is the Matrix. I mean, so I guess that makes sense to say it's more self-aware than the first film because they obviously know the Matrix is there. I'm excited. I mean, I remember being a kid and not loving the Matrix as much as everybody else did.
Really?
I think it might just be because I got distracted easily back then and I didn't really understand it fully. Like I did understand the concept of what it was, but I guess, I don't know. But then again, every time I revisit things now as an adult, I realize, oh, this is way better than I remember. Like the Andrew Garfield movies. Like those are not the best Spider-Man movies, but they are better than I remember them being.
Right. So I will tell you that for me, again, I was in my late teens. I might have been 18, 19 years old when I saw The Matrix. And at a time when I wasn't going to movies a whole lot, I went to the theater 6 times to go see The Matrix. I loved it. Part of it was that The Matrix was, other than Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, it was one of the first times where they had really incorporated CGI at a level where they made the fight sequences believable and realistic. And so for me, I know we use the phrase blew my mind, but that one really blew my mind in ways that I didn't know that it could be blown before. And it was fantastic. Does Resurrections, is it that level? Again, I don't want to poison the well. It's not quite the same, but it does play on your nostalgia in a good way. So I'm curious to find out what you think of it, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah,
soon.
Hopefully soon. I think I would probably opt to get HBO Max before going to see it in theaters. Not that I'm opposed to going to theaters, but I think there's certain movies for me that don't really have to be told on a huge screen. I think Spider-Man was definitely one of those that I had to see on a big screen.
Oh yeah, Spider-Man was. Yeah, Spider-Man is certainly one of those movies where it is worth going and seeing on a big screen.
And it was kind of a nostalgia thing for me too, because I saw really. I so badly want to say the 20th anniversary, but that's next year, which kind of bugs me because I kind of wish they would have waited another year to bring out Spider-Man just to say it's the 20th anniversary. But 19 is close enough. I saw the first Spider-Man in theaters. I was a teenager. I went to the theater. I watched it. It was amazing. And I was Spider-Man obsessed really ever since. I mean, I watched the 90s cartoon growing up, like Spider-Man. And when I got Disney Plus, it was one of the first things I watched. I watched an episode of Hawkeye, and then I watched like 3 episodes of Spider-Man.
I knew you were going to do that. Yeah.
But then I had to skip ahead to the Venom story arc because that's like episode 5 of Spider-Man. And the first one's like the lizard, and it's so kind of cheesy and quick. It's like, oh, wow. But the Venom storyline is amazing because it was very comic booky. When the symbiote wasn't attached to him, it was just like a dark shadow with evil eyes, and I love that. But yeah, I will probably get HBO again, not just for the Matrix, but I don't know. I don't want to go pay $10 to $12 or however much a matinee film costs, or even at night where it's like $13, $14, whatever. I would rather pay like that. Not $8 or $9, whatever it is, to subscribe to HBO Max,
right?
And watch it at home, just because I don't know.
I will say that HBO Max has a lot of superhero content.
They really do.
I've been super impressed by that part of it.
And gosh, even not even just superhero content, but like so many older things. Like I believe the Impractical Jokers, which has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I believe their shows are on there. And a lot of content like that you wouldn't really think of it being on HBO Max is on HBO Max. And so it's kind of impressive, their library. And Disney Plus is the same way. You don't really think about it. Like you think Disney Plus, you're like, okay, Star Wars, Marvel, and Disney cartoon films. But then you get in there and it's like, well, they have a lot more. They have a lot of the Marvel stuff that you don't think. Like until you told me, I didn't really realize the Spider-Man cartoon was on there or the X-Men. Yeah. And so I'm definitely going to watch X-Men soon to get ready for X-Men 97, which probably won't happen until next year sometime or even 2023. But it's coming up. So, and that was my favorite. That was my X-Men. Like a lot of people.
Mine too.
Comic books back in the 70s, whatever, 80s. But it's the cartoon was really my first real exposure to X-Men. And I loved Wolverine and all the characters. I think Wolverine is my favorite, of course, because the claws. You got to have the claws, and that's so cool because they're inside of him, and it's like, oh, I don't know. It's great.
They're inside of him.
They're inside of him. Now, this one I thought was pretty interesting. Let's see how many movies you can find. And I didn't really study this, but I already see a few. Like we're going to sit here for like 2 hours trying to find the movies.
I mean, there's Titanic.
Oh yeah, I see Titanic there. You got you've got It down at the bottom. You see Pennywise peeking out.
Right.
And then you have the Blues Brothers. I think that's Blues Brothers. No, that's not. That's Pulp Fiction, maybe. Yeah, it was hard to see because it's kind of like
definitely Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. Okay, I see it now.
You've got La La Land.
Okay, I think that's Wonder Woman right there too.
Yeah, you've got Rocket Man.
Oh, there's Darth Vader. How could I miss that? There's Olaf from Frozen.
Yeah. And then there's Merida from Brave.
I'm trying to figure out some of them I don't understand right off. I'm like, I don't remember that reference.
White Chicks.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I see that now. I was like, who are those two women? I don't get that.
And then you got Romeo and Juliet. And then Monsters, Inc. That's Boo from Monsters, Inc., right?
Okay, yeah. Is that Ace Ventura in the top? Like by Mary Poppins? I think that's Ace Ventura.
It is. All righty, then.
Yeah, we could look at this for days
I know.
And find more and more. So if you want to look at this further, you can go and check the post out on our Facebook group. Or you could pause the video and screenshot it, whatever. I think it's interesting. I love posts like that because you sit and look and look and look and look.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. So we got a couple more, I think, here. This one is funny. Another one from Kay. Steven, have a Snickers bar. You know how you get when you're hungry. And so we're seeing Dr. Stephen Strange opposite of Mr. Bean. And then the other three are still Rowan Atkins, but from Johnny English, which the Johnny English movies are pretty good. I got to go back and rewatch those. But it's pretty funny. And I thought this was funny because, in like 7th grade, people called me Mr. Bean. So it was like, Steven, and I see Mr. Bean. I'm like, hey, how did you know that? I don't know why. I guess because I was goofy. And I tried to like do goofy things without talking a lot. So people call me Mr. Bean.
Don't take that the wrong way, but there is a slight resemblance.
Yeah, and especially when I was like 12 years old, because of course, no beard, and my hair, I actually had more of it back then, and it was a similar like style. And so I'm just walking around, and people would say hello. I'm like, hello, but I wouldn't say it like a British guy. But I mean, just I was kind of quiet, but I would do goofy things, and I guess I don't know. I resembled Mr. Bean, and for like a whole year, people called me Mr. Bean. I liked it because I liked Mr. Bean, so it didn't really bother me that people called me that.
Well, I think that post in particular is kind of interesting because of what we know is coming in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Right? That we have kind of that dark version of Doctor Strange.
Yes.
That we saw in What If. That's at least my guess popping up. So.
And Corey, that's a good point, Corey, because he said when I was 12, he thought I looked like Edward Furlong. Now, I'm like, how did you know me when I was 12? his psychic abilities. But I have pictures on Facebook that I've posted where I was 12, and I literally had like more of like that haircut. A lot of people used to ask me if I was in the Beatles. As a joke. They knew I wasn't because I was like 12 years old. No way I was in the Beatles 30 years before that. But I had that hairstyle. And so I kind of did resemble him, I guess, in a way. And then before my hair got that long, I was like Mr. Bean. And so I went from Mr. Bean to John Connor. And now I'm just some old guy, or older guy, I guess. This one is interesting. Reference for the swordsman from Marvel Comics, Hawkeye. So we're leading into the Hawkeye discussion here.
And this is your segue.
There's one more, but it's kind of still related to this one, and then the last one is related to Hawkeye.
Okay.
But the swordsman who we see in Hawkeye, I'm assuming, because I was like, who is this guy? I don't know this character. That makes a lot of sense. And our last one here. I didn't save the best for last on purpose, but it seems like you made quite a few posts that made it to the show this week, and people are thinking like, he's just picking those. Like, not really. I'm picking my favorite posts. Honestly, doesn't matter who posts them.
If I were going through and picking out posts myself and then choosing my own posts, that would just be straight up nepotism.
Yeah.
But when Steven does it without consulting me, that's just straight up good taste. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really look at who's posting it at first. I don't really look at who posts it until after I save the images, so then I can go and tag everybody who is attached to the post that I use. But this one, it says, it's from Hawkeye. All 3 images here. You showed me being, I can't even read it. It's like so far away. Being a hero isn't just for people who can fly or shoot lasers out of their hands. It's for anyone who's brave enough to do what's right, no matter the cost. Wow, I didn't realize how bad my eyesight was. I had to get right up on there like an old man. Of course, on the phone screen, it's much easier to read. Maybe I should have just pulled it up on my phone and then. But Hawkeye,
if it took you any longer, I was going to grab my phone and start reading it for you.
Yeah, it was just some of those words were like really tiny on the screen. I'm just like, wait a minute.
Okay, so I've got to laugh because I know you said on countless occasions how much you despise Jeremy Renner and Hawkeye. And so I was curious to see if this new series was going to change that for you at all. So I'm curious.
I guess before, my opinion of Hawkeye was like a 99-cent Dollar Tree type store.
Right.
And now my opinion of him is like Dollar General. So not everything is $1, but a lot of it is. No, I give him a hard time, and I think it's what you kind of said all along of he doesn't really get the chance to stand out in all the team-up movies because he's just a side character. And then now that he's in his own light, his own story, he has time to shine. He has time to really go through his emotions and who he is as a person and as a hero, the dark times that he went through as the Ronin, and then how he got there, why he went there. You really get to explore him as a person and as a character so much more, and it made me appreciate him a lot more. I'm like, okay, now I'm not really comparing him to Oliver Queen's Green Arrow because it is a totally different character, although they're the exact same character. And it's weird to say that. Like, they're exactly the same, but they're actually completely opposites. Because it's not just a matter of like, well, I got a bow and arrow. It's way more than that. Although I will say it's pretty cheesy how near the end of the series, and it doesn't really spoil anything, but if you care about spoilers, you probably shouldn't be listening to this discussion right now.
Right.
But this part was just, at the end, they're like, oh, trick arrows. Let's make some more. Like 10 minutes later, they have all these trick arrows that can blow up and do all these things. It's like, how did you do that with nothing? So that's a little, but I'm not mad about that because like none of this stuff's realistic. Like, in what universe could we possibly think that this god essentially with a glove that had a bunch of rocks in it could destroy half the universe? Like, but
right. I mean, if you're going for realism, right? Maybe you need to stick to the nightly news.
Yeah.
But even that isn't very real. But I think that definitely the writing for the series was really well done. This yet again fits neatly into the MCU plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so let's talk about some characters that I think really shined. First, Hailee Steinfeld, right?
Mhm.
Hailee Steinfeld, who plays Kate Bishop,
Yeah.
and
She
I
was
wasn't, yeah, I wasn't familiar with her work prior to
yeah.
this series.
Now I watched that show and I saw her in the first episode. No, I was confused the first episode because I saw it shows her when she was a little kid and learning karate and different martial arts and all this stuff. And she was like, I need a bow and arrow. And then you flash forward to this other girl that looks like her. And I'm like, is that her? I'm confused. I thought that was his. I thought Clint's daughter was the girl from the very beginning.
Yes.
And I was confused for a minute. But then after like halfway through the episode, I'm like, oh, I get it now. It's not her. It's a different girl.
I had that same thought that I had assumed that the girl that he was, fighting alongside was his daughter. He'd even gone and called his daughter Hawkeye. And so I thought that maybe enough time had passed where she was old enough. As we know, though, his family had disappeared during the blip, right? So here is Hawkeye, who's definitely aged, and his family, which is still pretty young. So Hailee Steinfeld's character, I think the backstory for her is kind of hilarious because we get introduced to her. They're pretty well off financially. They're in like a penthouse apartment in New York, and it's the day of the Chitauri invasion with Loki in the first Avengers movie, and they're in the middle of the attack, and their house gets bombed, and she looks up and she sees Hawkeye fighting with just a bow and arrow, and he's jumping off the side of a building, and her father dies, and her mother says, is there anything I can do for you? Just ask. And she tells her mom, I want a bow and arrow. And so she spends, just simply because she had seen Hawkeye fighting, she dedicates her life to being a martial artist and to being a fencer and learning to use a bow and arrow. And so that was kind of cool that she kind of ultimately ends up meeting him and becoming his sidekick. And I think what they're really aiming for is for her to take on the mantle of Hawkeye herself.
I think so. I mean, and they tease it in the very end. It's like she was naming off like possible like hero names. And
exactly.
Then, and like they didn't land on anything because I think because at first I was like, wait a minute, what? That's it? Because then you hit it credits. I'm like, there's not like an ending where he's like, here's my bow. I'm like, okay. I kind of I liked it though.
Yeah, I like the fact that they kept it. It's insinuated, but it's not like direct. Yeah. The other character that I feel that I had not been familiar with, but I really liked a lot was Alaqua Cox as Echo.
Yeah.
Had you been familiar with Echo as a character before?
Not much. I mean, I wasn't really familiar with many of the characters at all, honestly. Like the swordsman, I didn't know who he was, and I thought that was really strange that this rich guy who seemingly evil is like a superhero swordsman. Like in my mind, I'm like, is that Zorro? Did they cross him over with it? Like, I wasn't really familiar, but I like the fact that I didn't really know the characters because it kind of made me, in a way, more invested in learning about them and watching them, and it was all new and fresh. Right. There was no bad habits, or not even bad habits, but I saw a bunch of people complaining about like this character, like Clint was never Ronin, like he shouldn't have been him. Like I didn't have any of that in my mind watching it, so it didn't really spoil or ruin anything because I didn't really care. I liked how they did it. I liked the story. I liked everything about it. So I was learning these characters for the first time, pretty much. And had I not seen Hawkeye in any of the Avengers movies, I really would have no idea of who he was either. But I was surprised, and I don't really hate Jeremy Renner anymore.
Oh wow, we need to get that. Well, I was going to say we need that in writing, but I'll take
a T-shirt.
I know. I don't hate Jeremy Renner anymore. T-shirts, we can sell those. No, I think he did a great job.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss talking about Echo because
No.
Alaqua Cox, this was her acting debut, right? She has not done anything else prior to it. But I really like her. She's actually deaf, so she is a real deaf actress.
And I like that. I mean, I don't like the fact that she's deaf. Like, yes, but that they're using like a real deaf actress for that role, because it's like, and it's impressive too. It was like, how do you go and get all this direction and are able to do all this stuff without being able to hear anything? Like, that's impressive to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. The other part is, that Echo has a prosthetic leg, right?
I noticed it. I didn't at first, but I saw it at some point. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Like halfway through the series, whatever. Like they were in that one. Maybe it was even further than that, when they were in that fight scene on the rooftop or whatever, and then the thing with the zip line wouldn't work or whatever, and she's like trying to shake and get down the zip line. I think around that moment is when I realized. I was like, yeah, that's pretty far in. I was like, wow, I didn't notice that at first.
And what's crazy is that Eleque Cox is also, not only is she deaf, but she's also an amputee. And so I thought that was interesting that they left that in the show and made it a part of the character. So I thought that was great.
That is pretty cool. And she did, like I said, I'd never noticed it until I actually saw the actual prosthetic leg itself, that I realized, wow. So the fact that she could move around and do all of the acrobatic stuff and all of those, now they probably had stunt people to do some of it, sure, but like the way she moved around, the way she could do everything, it's like I was blown away. I think she really stood out the most for me as far as like things like just of the movie, or well, not movie, but of the series. She was more impressive. And it's kind of more impressive now to know these things, because Jeremy Renner could even act as well as this girl, and she's like an amputee and deaf, and she's still a better actor than Jeremy Renner.
Yeah,
I mean, I had to throw one out there.
Major dig. So a couple others. We had, if you have seen the Black Widow movie, and hopefully you did, because the Black Widow movie was definite setup for this series. Right. The whole point of it was to introduce Florence Pugh as Natasha's sister.
Right. I did not see the movie, but I knew enough about it from reading about it and stuff to really know who she was. I need to watch that next. I almost watched it first, but I was like, I want to make sure I get through Hawkeye before Sunday so that I could, be able to talk about it.
Yeah. I would encourage you, since you haven't seen Black Widow, go back and watch it. I believe it's on Disney Plus.
It is. So, yeah, because I saw it on there the other day when I started watching Hawkeye. I was like, let me watch Black Widow first. No, I'll watch this. I probably had time to watch both.
It'll make a lot more sense about why Yelena is attacking Clint.
Okay, yeah, that would make more sense. I just assumed, not having seen Black Widow, I just assumed that like she, thought he didn't kill her, but like his negligence or something like that. And I kind of got the tone of it without having to see it. But I love how Marvel does their movies, because you could, like me, not having seen that part of the story, still could kind of make sense of it.
Yeah.
But when you watch the other part of the story, it makes even more sense. Like, you don't have to see this, and this to get this and appreciate it, but you can appreciate it on a wholer level if you have seen those things, which I like the way they do that.
I think it's amazing to me to see the interconnectedness of the MCU.
Yeah.
And I say that because both you and I last week had seen the new Spider-Man No Way Home, and it begins with that quick cameo of Daredevil, right?
Yeah.
We get that introduction with Daredevil in it, and so we realize that the Daredevil that we know from Netflix, which we've both been watching this week, that he is he is firmly established in the MCU. What we didn't know, though, was equally that Kingpin, who shows up in episode 6 of Hawkeye, is also in the MCU, and it's played by the same actor, Vincent D'Onofrio.
And yeah, there's been debate, and there's been debate and questions of like, oh, it's a multiversal thing, it's not the same world, all this and that. But then the actor himself came out and said, I believe, like, this is the same character, like this is the same guy. And it would be pretty cheap to get the same man to play the same character from two different worlds. Like, no, you can't do that. If you give us Matt Murdock in Spider-Man, and then you give us Kingpin and Daredevil, and then also give us Kingpin and Hawkeye, but then say, oh, he's a different Kingpin. No, you can't do that. I still can't get over the fact about how overpowered Kingpin is without being superpowered at all. Like, he has no known. I mean, I researched the character a little bit. I'm aware of who Kingpin was and is. I always thought he was a Spider-Man villain. Only, like, it was like he's interacting with different characters. But that's the thing about that character. He's kind of all over Marvel. It's not just Spider-Man that he was involved in, or X-Men. He's kind of been involved with all of them at some point or another. But yeah, he has no powers, but yet he could get stabbed in the stomach, blown up, and then still walk away.
He has a reputation for surviving.
Yeah.
And so again, spoilers if you haven't seen it, but episode 6 ends with Echo shooting him, but he shot off camera, right? Mm-hmm. So we're supposed to just simply believe that he got shot. But again,
I don't think he's gone.
Kingpin is the character that unless I see the body, I'm not believing he's dead.
No, and unless I see him decapitated, I'm not going to believe he's dead.
And even then, so I don't think you're going to introduce Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin in Daredevil or in Hawkeye if you don't intend to bring him back.
Now, wasn't Kingpin in another film? But he was played by someone else entirely.
He was. So in the original Daredevil with Ben Affleck.
Yeah, okay.
It was played by Michael Clark Duncan.
Yes, okay. I cannot think of who it was. A lot of people, I know that got a lot of backlash. Like, they can't have an African-American Kingpin. Like, why not? I think he did a great job.
Okay, so again, I agree. Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin, he was fantastic. And the guy had this, first of all, the guy had the size.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
You need a monster of a man to play Kingpin. And I think if you're looking for things to hate about that version, I don't necessarily think you can blame Michael Clark Duncan, may he rest in peace, and his version of that character. Mm-hmm. There's other things you can not like about it.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, the movie overall wasn't that great, but
it wasn't
bad.
It wasn't bad. It just wasn't fantastic. I think that when I think back and I compare that to the Daredevil series that we're watching on Netflix, the Daredevil series is leaps and bounds far more epically fantastic. So
absolutely. And I don't know why I hated on Daredevil so much. I know when it came out originally on Netflix, I watched a couple episodes and I was just like, I don't know. This is dumb. I don't like it. I don't know what it was, but I just didn't like it.
I think you probably didn't like it for the same reason I didn't at first, that he didn't have his suit. So it was just him with a sock over his eyes.
Yeah.
And but I feel the brilliance of it, that we slowly get to learn who he is, that he's complex and interesting, he's dynamic, he's clever and intelligent.
Yeah.
I really do feel that whole thing. And I think the other part of it to me that's interesting is they talk a lot about Hell's Kitchen, where the story takes place. But we kind of need to realize that Hell's Kitchen is not all that far, geographically speaking, from where Spider-Man is, right? Or from where the events here of Hawkeye. all of it's happening within a relatively short distance. You know, New York City has probably got to be one of the most superhero saturated places on the planet.
Yeah, which is kind of why I like, not really going too far away from Marvel, but like with DC, they use fictional cities. And I kind of like that in a way, because then it's like, oh, each hero has his own city. Like, they're not all in the same place. With Marvel, it's like New York is like where everything is. And it's like, okay, but it's nice have something
I like having real cities. I feel like them making up cities that have kind of generic names to them, I keep trying to think in my head about where it's located. Like, we know that Gotham City is another name for New York, right? So that one's not too hard. And we know that Gotham and Metropolis aren't too far away from each other either.
Right? Can you still hear me?
I can. Yeah.
Okay. My camera, I guess, went out.
Oh no.
But I'm still here. It's strange because I was talking and all of a sudden the phone that I use as a camera vibrated, and then I noticed my image froze. I was like,
right. Okay. And your image froze in sort of a creepy Heaven's Gate sort of way.
Yeah, I'm just like looking off at something. Right. So it might be a minute or two before I had to plug in the phone. I thought I had it plugged in already, but apparently I didn't, and I guess the battery died.
Sure.
So
I'm sure that when Corey goes back and edits this for us, he'll be able to make you move, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Or like he can superimpose some old footage over this footage.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm trying to see if I have the same app on my other phone that I use for the webcam, but I don't see it. Oh, yes, I do have it. So I'm going to try to sync up the phone.
All right. So as you're kind of working on that, one of the funny things is, we've talked about how there are a lot of like superhero-y kinds of movies or action movies that are Christmas movies, right? Gremlins is a Christmas movie. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and this one, Hawkeye is most definitely a Christmas movie, right? Because Jeremy Renner's Clinton Barton, he's really just trying to get home to spend Christmas with his family.
Okay, so I got my other phone on, and I can just hold it here for a few minutes, I guess, because it's on the. Yeah, I'm sorry. Give me a second. I'll get it on the tripod here so I can. That's awkward.
Yeah, I can definitely see you.
I'm just trying to get it mounted.
Yeah, no problem. So just kind of a funny thing. What did you think of the Rogers musical?
It was interesting. We'll say that much. It was kind of funny. I liked the beginning scene. Like, it was disappointing that was the post-credit scene and that was it. But I was like, whatever. It's cool to see the whole thing because it was kind of entertaining. I thought it was funnier though in the beginning when they first see it. Like, Clint takes his kids and like they watch it. He's like, "That's not right. That's dumb."
Right.
I was there. He wasn't there. It was funny.
Right. He was talking about the historical accuracy of the whole thing. But it was so I love musicals. And part of me goes, "Oh, I would love to go see that." And the other part of it is, man, that musical looks so cheesy.
Yeah, it did. It looked really cheesy. Like, I think that, well, of course they did it on purpose.
They did.
And Corey says it's like the Team America World Police songs. And honestly, I kind of felt that way. They just didn't have the strings on them. But they looked so cheesy. Like, the characters, they weren't dressed very accurately. I think Thor was just some guy in a red T-shirt or whatever that had like a Viking hat on.
It was very low budget Avengers. So that said, I thought it was hilarious.
And we got to point out the swordsman. Like, Tony Dalton was great as the swordsman. I thought he was a great character, and that's something I wanted to touch on when we talked about Hawkeye. Was like they kind of swerve you a little bit. They kind of throw a curveball. Like, you see the whole movie, you're like, he's a jerk. He's oh my gosh, he's the guy. He's like the bad guy. Nope. He was the good guy the whole time. Well, didn't see that coming.
it's the mother.
Yeah.
The mother was the one who had been in league with Kingpin, who had been, had arranged to have people killed and everything else. I think that like a lot of elements here in this movie, the swordsman was introduced because I think he's going to step in and become another mentor for Kate Bishop.
I think so. And he'll probably be maybe in another team up movie. If eventually they're going to have the new Avengers, and that's going to be interesting to see how many, if any, of the old Avengers come back to say, "Hey, here we are," and then leave. Well, Tony Stark's dead. So spoilers, everybody, if you've not seen Endgame, Tony Stark dies.
That is an old spoiler, though.
Yeah, it's like almost 4 years ago.
Yeah, you got to blow the dust off that one.
Yep.
So I will say that the other thing that I wanted to point out, kind of an interesting one, is that Clint's wife, Laura Barton.
Oh, I love her.
She's great. She's great. I had not automatically recognized Linda Cardellini, but my daughter was watching that episode with me, and she turns to me and she says, "Dad, that's the girl. That's the lady that played Velma in the Scooby-Doo movie."
She did.
I was like, that was really random, and she just kind of plucked that one out of the air. But I had not. We had to go and Google it to make sure. But lo and behold, Linda Cardellini.
The thing, like the thing I remember her the most from is something I watched years after it had been off television, was Freaks and Geeks.
Right.
And that is, you had Seth Rogen, James Franco. Gosh, all those guys. Who else was in that movie? Like, she was in it. Like, there were so many big names, and it was a Judd Apatow show. Who, he put all of those people in most of his movies, and I recognized her instantly from that. And I was like, she looks the same. She doesn't really look like she got much older. So watching Freaks and Geeks, I'm like, I had a big crush on her. Like, I want that to be my girlfriend. She's so cool. She listens to records, and she'll go behind the dumpster and smoke cigarettes. She's dangerous. Like, I don't know. I liked her. I thought she was really cool. And then seeing her in Hawkeye, I'm like, I still felt like she was like 19 years old or something. I'm like, why are you dating this old man, Jeremy Renner? Like, why? She's amazing. I've always liked her.
She's great. So it was kind of a neat surprise.
More about her. Hawkeye's wife was one of the Mockingbirds. She's connected to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's all over the place.
Right. That's what that whole thing with the watch was about.
Yeah. I had forgotten. I never watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. either. I watched a little.
You haven't seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Some of it. I didn't watch all of it, but I did watch some of it.
So I will say that I had slept on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then went back and rewatched it, and it's really, really good. I think that because it doesn't really have any of the original Avengers in it, that doesn't get quite the love. But the casting, though, is really great. The storytelling is really good. So I would, and it does have superpowers in it. I would encourage you, again, with all that spare time that you got, to go and catch up when you have an opportunity.
Yeah, I definitely love something else that I could watch her in is great.
Right.
But I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a little bit when it first started, and I was like, okay, this is all right. But like you said, it didn't have the Avengers in it, and it kind of threw me off. I'm like, this isn't. It's kind of like Star Wars at first, whenever like one of the new trilogies started back in like 1999 or whatever year it was. It's like, oh, really? There's nobody in this movie that's in that. And then it didn't really get the love. Well, that's a whole other story, though.
Right.
But things like that, where it's spinoffs and this and that, and it's like connected, but yet its own thing, really made me like, why? But every time I've thought that about something and rewatched it, I've loved it. Like Daredevil, I just couldn't stand it for some reason. And I think it was just the fact that, like you said, the suit was just a black sock, basically. And there wasn't a ton of action until Daredevil was involved. There wasn't much action going on outside of the Daredevil character. It was all like talking And I wasn't able to appreciate that back then, the storytelling without having to use all the action. But then as I watched episode after episode, I'm just like, okay. And then I start recognizing characters or actors from other things. And then his friend, I don't know the guy's name, but like his like law partner, that guy's funny. Like he's good.
Right. So you're thinking, so we're talking about Foggy Nelson, right?
Yes.
Of Nelson and Murdoch, played by Eldon Henson.
He's great.
I had a feeling that was going to come up here tonight. So I knew that you were rewatching Daredevil for the first time, and I had already seen the whole thing, but I wanted to refresh myself a little bit on it. So I went back and I've rewatched the first season, and I'm about halfway through season 2 right now. I've got to say that I'm really, again, if you hadn't really been familiar with the Netflix version of Kingpin, played by the same Vincent D'Onofrio, again, the reason why he's so fantastic, just the way that they portray him, very comic accurate, clever, intelligent, but violent and vengeful, just fantastic. I really love what he does. Charlie Cox is a fantastic Matt Murdock.
Oh my gosh, he's amazing.
You know, I've seen people try to pull off someone who's blind, and generally it looks like they're trying to pull off somebody who's blind badly. Right. Charlie Cox has a very natural way of doing it. He's a great actor. And I think that the whole concept of a blind superhero is, again, it's novel, it's clever, it's really well done. Again, Deborah Ann Woll, who plays Karen Page, she's great. I don't know how far through the series you've gotten.
I'm maybe like halfway through season 1 still, because I took a break from it to watch all of Hawkeye. Okay. And then yesterday I was watching A Christmas Story and like all that other stuff.
All right. I don't want to spoil too much for you. But I will say that you get season 2, you get Punisher.
Okay,
who pops up on the scene, played by John Bernthal, and he's great.
And he's supposed to be coming back in again. They're supposed to be into the MCU as Punisher, I think.
Well, and you consider that that group, you have Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Punisher, I think even Ghost Rider. Along with Iron Fist, I think they're all, and Daredevil. I think they're all members of Defenders. I've kind of called them like the second string Avengers a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
But again, they're sort of like the superhero team that didn't fight against, in the first Avengers movie. But they're all legitimate superheroes in their own right. Rosaria Dawson, who you've seen pop up, she also makes appearances. I think she sleeps with everybody in the other shows too.
I need to be on a show with her then.
You know what? You'd have a chance.
It's funny that I'm really more familiar with Rosario Dawson from a Kevin Smith movie, but I mean, hey. But then I've seen her in other things too. But I mean,
right?
Still,
I say that out of love, that she really is great, and I think that I like seeing characters that we're familiar with pop up in other shows.
Oh yeah. Going back to what Corey said a minute ago, Foggy is from the Mighty Ducks, also a Disney Plus reboot is good. I thought he looked familiar, and I did not realize that until Corey mentioned it. But I was like, this kid, I have seen him in something. I don't know what, I don't know when or where, but he's been in something I've watched.
It's the Knuckle Puck.
I mean, I was like, how did I not make that connection? I mean, of course he's older, but I mean, he's like 50 years older now than he was when back then.
You just want to go and heckle him and go, quack, quack, quack.
Yeah.
Quack.
And now when I see him, I can't see him as anything other than his child version. I just see that kid in my head now. And I forgot about the reboot or the continuation, sequel, spinoff, whatever you want to call it, of Mighty Ducks. I really want to watch that because I grew up watching those movies as a kid. So I was like, I really have to see this new one. I think it'd be great. And if Corey says it's not bad, then it's probably pretty good then.
Yeah, but Corey did watch and love Evil Alien Conquerors.
I can't say that I've seen it, so I can't really give an opinion on that. But
Steven, you need to put it on the list just so that you have a benchmark for the bottom of the barrel.
I mean, is it lower on that barrel than Ghostbusters 2016?
Yes.
It's lower than that. Wow. Okay. Yeah,
it's like filmed in my brother's basement. Bottom of the barrel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Under the barrel.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess I'll have to watch it at some point.
It's one of those so bad it's good kind of movies.
Well, if it's so bad that it's good, at least it's better than Ghostbusters. I mean, because that movie
so bad it's bad.
And I feel bad because like they are releasing or have released a box set of Ghostbusters. Or no, I think it's coming out. It's not out yet. It'll be, Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, and Ghostbusters Afterlife in a box set. And then Paul Feig, who directed the 2016 film, I'm kind of conflicted here because he's like upset that they didn't put that version in the box set. It's like, dude, they're not related at all. Why would they be in a box set if they're not connected at all? They shouldn't be. Like, it's its own thing. That if you have a sequel, then yeah, put that in a box set with itself. And I'm conflicted on that because I really love that guy because he was a big part of The Office, and I love The Office.
Right.
And so I'm sure
that for him, it would have meant a couple $1 million in his pocket. If he was able to sell, he's got a bunch of unsold copies of 2016 Ghostbusters, right?
Probably stacks of them.
But if he's able to slide one in with a collector's set of all 4 movies, right? There are people out there that will buy a collector's set.
Oh yeah.
Maybe they don't like the 2016, but it's got Afterlife in it. It's got the first 2.
Yeah.
They'll buy it. But I think the hatred for that movie is so great that they just decided to do everybody a favor and just leave it out.
And see, that's the thing about that movie, because I'll admit, and I have admitted, that I didn't finish it. Because as I've said, when I got to the point when a train hit a ghost and damaged it, and the ghost was stuck in the train and couldn't move through it again, I was done. Because I mean, like, I get suspending disbelief and all this stuff, but when you do that, it's like I can't take any of it seriously at all.
Right. I wish that was the point for me that I stopped watching. I've actually finished it.
If it gets worse than that, it's just like
it doesn't get any better than that from that.
And point. I really gave it a chance. Like, I really wanted to watch it. I bought the thing. I didn't just rent it or borrow. I bought it, and I really wanted to give it a chance because I figured if everybody hates it so much, I might like it.
I tried to warn you. Because
the things I think I don't like, I end up loving, like Daredevil, like Hawkeye, and all that. So I thought Ghostbusters 2016 will be great because everybody else hates it. And the biggest complaint I had, but that I've read about that movie is not that it's starring an all-female cast, or not all-female cast, but all-female core cast. It was the fact that they was forced. Like, we're gonna flip the genders on purpose just to make you see a girl version. And I think that was their mistake. Not because it's bad to see girls doing things. I would rather watch a lot of girls do things than a lot of guys do things. But that's just,
Really?
What I mean,
do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, Black Widow was more fun to watch than
right.
Scarlett Johansson is more impressive to me than Jeremy Renner. But I'm just saying, like, I didn't have a problem with that, but it's just so bad.
Yeah,
I can't even like.
Right. When you have essentially an all-star cast, the point is made that you can't fix a poorly written script.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
and it was doomed. I think that you can do an all-woman cast of something, or you can do an all black cast of something,
mm-hmm.
and you can do it well. This is just an example of people not doing something well, and it still amazes me.
Foggy is in Evil Alien Conquerors too. I almost forgot. Okay, well, I guess I kind of have to watch it because at least he's in it and he's pretty cool. So maybe I can stomach it. But yeah, I don't know. That movie was just, I can't get over how bad it was. If they make another Saw movie in Saw, instead of making them cut their legs off and like all this crazy stuff, just play 2016 Ghostbusters.
Oh wow, that would be just like cruel.
There'll be like a hanging, swinging lamp and like a water dripping in the corner with a TV playing that movie, and then that's the entire movie.
Right,
as you watching them watch that.
They would just be like begging who gets to die first.
Yeah, you'll want to kill
me out now.
Yeah, they'll just start bashing their own skulls into the TV screen until they die, because that movie is just it's terrible.
It is. It is.
Wait a minute. I missed this comment from a minute ago. The reboot is amazing. I double dog dare you to watch Evil Alien Conquerors, Chris Parnell, and Dietrich Bader. So Dietrich Bader is in there too. I love him. I gotta watch it now. I mean, it's gonna be so bad. I gotta watch it.
Go see it, and then we can talk about it.
And then Corey says too that would kill us too. Talking about watching 2016 Ghostbusters in Saw.
Right.
Gosh. I mean, but it would be the most realistic horror film. It would be like The Ring was supposed to be. Like in The Ring, the movie itself, then when they watch the tape, they die. And if you watch that Saw movie, if it existed, you would die. So there we go, Hollywood.
Yeah, it's like that line in Scream when they say, "What's your favorite scary movie?" and the guy says, "Showgirls."
Yeah, Showgirls. Yeah. Which I really like Showgirls. For different reasons. I mean, the writing, I didn't think it had a storyline to it. But hey, it wasn't okay. Yeah. So, which I think was funny is like on the Saved by the Bell reboot, they heavily reference that movie in the second season. I've been watching that show a lot, and it's so weird because they directly reference it as if it were Saved by the Bell character going off and doing it. They're like, "What did you do in Vegas?" I did this. It was crazy. That show's not a very good show either. The Saved by the Bell reboot. I mean, it's okay, but it's not. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think the problem is, and I realize we're kind of wrapping up here, but not every show from my childhood needs to be rebooted.
No, not every show.
Like some things ended really well, and we should just enjoy the fact that we had a perfect show with a great ending. The idea that we're gonna get an attempt at they're playing on our nostalgia,
And the stupid part about the Saved by the Bell in that sense is they literally have a joke in an episode in season 2 saying just that. Like, we're tired of seeing old shows from the 90s rebooted. It's like, I mean, I get what they were trying to do. They're trying to be cute and funny, but it's like, at that point, you're just like really putting the shovel in the ground, digging your own grave. It's like,
right.
Don't acknowledge that you're a crappy version of what you used to be. I mean, I know they were trying to be funny about it. I don't know. At least make the show better.
Right.
If you were going to do a joke like that. But, I don't know. But yeah, I really enjoyed Hawkeye. I thought it was a lot better than I thought it would be. I'm pretty surprised by that. Because, I mean, I didn't hate Jeremy Renner. I didn't hate the Hawkeye character. It just seemed like watching paint dry,
right,
while Ghostbusters 2016 was playing in the background. And now, after I've seen that movie, or I keep calling it a movie, it essentially was like a 6-hour movie. But after seeing Hawkeye, I'm like, okay, it's like watching paint dry, but without Ghostbusters 2016 playing in the background. So it's a little bit more exciting.
It's an improvement. That's good.
It definitely is. And now every time I go watch, like Avengers or Infinity War or any of those again, I'm gonna appreciate the character a little bit more now that I have more of a backstory. And I gotta say, like the hearing loss stuff, his hearing aid and losing it. Well, he didn't lose it; it broke, and then he had it fixed and turning it off at night and all that stuff. That was a side of him that like I never thought about.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I wanted to ask you about where you would kind of rate Hawkeye in regards to the other shows and such that have come out.
Oh gosh, that's a good question because I want to say it's the worst, but I also don't want to say it's the worst. I think I enjoyed Hawkeye a little bit more than What If. Then again, What If wasn't really a linear story. It was, but each episode was like boom, 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 and then they tie it all together at the end. But I think I overall enjoyed that more than that. What else did I not like in Marvel? There's not been many things that I didn't like that Marvel has put out, or that
I've enjoyed all of it. I think for me, the two shows that we watched in my household as a family every single week, it was first WandaVision, which for me is at the top, and then we also watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That was a good one.
So those two for me are at the top. I really enjoyed What If. And I liked Loki because Tom Hiddleston is fantastic.
He's good,
But I felt like the Loki season, of all the stories that we got, it was the one that wasn't complete. It's a two-parter, and so they kind of dropped us like right at a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. I would if I had to really put Hawkeye somewhere in that order, I would say it's probably, at least in my opinion, on par and at the same level of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but above Loki, like somewhere in between those two.
Okay.
Just because like Falcon and Winter Soldier, I didn't really. It's not that I hated those characters, but it's like, well, I don't know. I guess without Steve Rogers, it's hard to take Captain America, and it's like, oh, okay, well that's because Chris Evans was just so good as Captain America that it's hard to accept a new Captain America. It's like, I get it, but I mean, like, why did he have to go? But it's that new phase, and that's how I felt when I first saw it. But now seeing these other things, like seeing Hawkeye and seeing these other things popping up, even with Spider-Man on No Way Home, like this is like the new generation of heroes coming up. And now that it's happening all over the place, all these pieces are starting to pull together. So I think it's awesome. And eventually we'll have a new Avengers and maybe a new Spider-Man. And kind of like they said in No Way Home, they're like, I'm sure there's a black Spider-Man out there somewhere. And everybody in the theater cheered because everybody was like, Miles Morales.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that would be great as a film. But don't make it Jaden Smith. Jaden Smith is okay, but don't make him be Miles Morales. Or Michael B. Jordan. Like those two guys, they've been in enough stuff. Like let somebody else have a turn.
Right. Will Smith. I'm sure that Will Smith is available.
Yeah, but then do his face like what is that movie where he fought himself? Something. There was that movie like over the last couple of years where Will Smith played himself and then played a younger version of himself.
Right.
It looked like Will Smith from now fighting the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It was weird. I don't know. It was a weird movie. That was pretty well done though. Pretty impressive, but. When they were side by side, you could really tell the CGI on his face. But when they weren't on screen together, it was more impressive. Technology is just getting crazy. Pretty soon, they're going to be able to do movies like cartoons, essentially, without any actual live actors.
Oh, I believe it.
They did it with Lion King. I know there were animals, but the same idea, same concept. Like it was completely computer generated. So that's one of the things that bugged me the most about these Disney live actions is that one is not live action at all. It's all animated still, but it's just such a high scale animation that it looks live. Gemini Man. Thank you. That was the name of that movie. Corey actually pointed it out too. That was a good movie though. It really was.
All right. Well, it is. I think we've reached that point
We have. This is the point where I start doing magic tricks now. No.
Right.
Yeah. Next week, I'm not really sure exactly, but I do know that in 1 week's time, we have a couple of options. And we talked about at the start of the show about talking about Superman and Lois. Hopefully that happens by this Sunday. It's possible that maybe we can do a random middle of the week episode. We discussed that a little bit. But we also have Cobra Kai coming up in 5 days.
We do.
So I'm so pumped on Cobra Kai that I don't know if I'll be able to talk about Superman and Lois on Sunday. I'll be so focused on that. So we'll see what happens. Over the next week, we'll definitely, or into 2 weeks later, we'll definitely be talking about both of those things. Because Cobra Kai is one of the main things we talk about every year. And same with Superman and Lois. I'm excited for both of those. I really love how all these things are coming out, and like there's so much more content to watch today than there was like 10 or 15 years ago, where you had to wait 16,000 years in between each great thing.
Sure felt like it.
Yeah. But yeah, Cobra Kai is awesome. I cannot wait because they say it's so much different, and so like I'm excited to see how all the characters that were evil and Cobra Kai, like, man, you all are terrible. And then even Hawk specifically, because he stole Mr. Miyagi's Medal of Honor, and now he's like, sorry, can you teach me now? Like, I want to see how that works. I have a theory that he's not really good. I think he's playing them and like kind of baiting them into like trusting him and infiltrate. Who knows? But I'm excited for Cobra Kai.
Yeah. Well, wait and see.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being part of the Facebook group where we're over 900 members and we're almost 1,000 Facebook group members. So each week it seems like we're growing and more content. That's what I look for.
Oh,
sorry about that. Are we still there?
We are still here.
And my microphone, I don't know. I guess it fell off.
So I can hear you, and you're fine.
Yeah.
I think that while you kind of get things pulled together, I'll go ahead and just do the sign off.
Yes.
So, guys, thanks for joining us here for this episode of Between a Pod and a Hard Place. And again, if you haven't already done so, make sure that you go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel, and then share this with your friends, especially people that you know that like pop culture and superhero stuff. We definitely can use the love. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So hey guys, we want to just thank you for hanging with us and checking us out, and hope you all have an awesome week.
Yeah. And we will see you all next week right here on whatever you're watching it on. I'll just say that. All right. Well, take it easy, everybody, and we'll see you same time next week. Yeah.
Adios.
All right. Have a good week.